Good day all. This is the Self-Preservation Society, or Truth and Awareness on YouTube. This is the BBTT, Bazzzilll, Broadcasting Truth and Therapy. Here I am using the talking stick. And the time is 8:30 p.m. on what they tell us is the 18th of the 6th, 2025. That's all hearsay. Oops. Is that heresy? I don't know. Let you be the judge. Because you have the potential to be the judge. You must be the judge of your own self. And then you can see when you've done the shadow work, fought the demons, etc., you can be the judge of that which is outside of you, because you stand in resonance with universal law, natural law and common law. Till you've done that, or started to do it, you can't judge anyone. And that's not bigging myself up, but I've walked the walk. It's been painful over so many years. And in this upload, I'm going to be talking about that, talking about somebody else's walk, my mate Shelley. And I've spoke to her before I started this broadcast, told her what I was going to talk about and whatever, and she was okay with it. So stick with me, because everything I do here is to empower, enlighten and enable you, which is something I've tried to do for Shelley over so many years, and even more so in the more recent years. And as we just discussed on the telephone, it's bearing fruit. It bears fruit. Because I've walked the walk. I don't just talk the talk, I've walked the walk. We must all do that. And it starts with the self. Judging yourself. Bringing balance and equilibrium to the self. Understanding the self. Knowing the self. The two aspects of self. The black, the white, the yin, the yang. The masculine, the feminine. This, that and the other. I've walked the walk and I continue to walk the walk. And I have no fear in saying anything that I say on this my channel, and certainly not anything that I'm going to say to you in this broadcast. I don't say what I'm saying to offend any individual that I may mention. That's not what I'm about. What I'm about is helping those who might be deceived by others, but might be deceived by not knowing their true self and reaching outside their self. That's what I do. That's why I'm going to do, or continue to do, what I do on my channel. But anyway, it boils down to a couple of things. 2 or 3 things, actually. And again, Emma Williams, empiracy.com. It's not about you. You may think it is, and that's your right, but it's not about you. It's about the truth, and it's about people, because I care deeply about people. But Emma put out a post a day or so ago, videoing herself, this, that and the other, trying to prove that she's not AI. How can you prove you're not AI? How can you prove that? Certainly can't prove it by putting a video out on the internet. I'm a bit of a technophobic, but I do know that so much can be done with cameras, computers, this, that and the other, to make a story stick. I remember when Sophia was sat on the breakfast TV sofas here in the UK, that AI doll. I've seen how new sex dolls, toys, whatever, both male and female, are being manufactured, so we believe, in China, right? There's nothing new under the sun, people. What you're seeing today, whatever it is, existed before you see it. That's the truth. That's the truth. But I've looked at Emma, and I sat outside about half hour ago and thinking about Emma and like David Icke and certain other people that deliver in a way that sucks you in. You know, I've often been moaned at because my voice ain't loud enough, this and that. All my volumes on my computer and on my mic are set at the highest level. I cannot do anything more about it because I don't know what I'm doing, if there is anything else to do. But anyway, I know there are people out there, and I know there's alphabet organisations, you know, etc., that can do so much. They've been doing it long before we catch up with it. There's nothing new under the sun. But unless I see somebody in person, you can't really tell their energy, frequency and vibration. You know, you can resonate with people, and that's what we do. We resonate with them because they're saying what we want to hear and whatever. It's, you know, truth as psychics, mediums today, myself included. I don't set myself as being better than anybody else in any way, shape or form, other than the person I was yesterday or 40 years ago when I started this journey, 41 years ago when I started this journey. It's all I set out to be better than what I was. Don't seek to be better than you or better than anybody else. But, you know, I can sort the wheat from the chaff, and I can see, you know, and have no fear of questioning when questioning needs to be done. If you look at Emma, Emspiracy, what an amazing delivery she comes out with. Hardly ever takes a breath. This, you know. You watch her. She would fit well on television. Anyway. Fit well. David Icke, when he first come out, you know, writing his books or something, and I remember Shelley lent me one of his books in 1992. And yeah, it resonated with me. You know, it without shadow of doubt, it resonated with me. But the more I learn, the more I become aware, I realise that he's just plagiarising off other people, as Anthony J. Hilder said in 2001, I think, when introducing Jordan Maxwell. He called David Icke out for plagiarising Jordan's work. This, that, and the other. We're all plagiarists. Some of us have the integrity to say that, or to acknowledge and give credit to where we've heard it from. I often do that. You know, this week I've come up with two memes. I've run one across Terry this morning. My mate Terry. I haven't spoke about him for a long time, but those of you who've been following me will know I speak about Terry. And I said to him today about what I wrote the other day. And if it did come from anywhere physical, then whoever first said it, then I humbly apologise. But it come to me while I was sitting out the back, as a lot of my stuff does, while I'm having a cigarette. And the meme was the dark ages where knowledge was suppressed. The age of information where knowledge is ignored or ridiculed. Now Terry went off and given interpretation of the dark ages as he's been indoctrinated by his schooling, this, that and the other, and his own ego. And I just sat and smiled to myself and let him rafe on. He wasn't talking to me. He was, I wasn't paying any attention to it because I know how he talks. I love him to bits. Love him to bits. He opened my eyes up when I started my journey walking the Red Road in 1989, where so many people were telling me how wonderful the Lakota was and all these different tribes and this, that, and the other. And they were. I owe them much. But Terry told the truth about how they would, some of the practices they had, this, that, and the other, and whatever, stealing horses, stealing people, whatever, killing, whatever. Loads of different stuff that different tribes done. The Iroquois Confederacy, if you've never studied them, as we're told they were, that's where Marx and Engels got their idea from communism from the Iroquois Confederacy, because they would say to neighbouring tribes, come with us and we'll look after you, we'll be stronger together, but if you don't, we're going to kill you, And you see that. You see that today. Do as we say, or face the consequences. Think as you're told, or face the consequences. That's how this matrix works. Think as you're told, or face the consequences. If people like Emma Williams and David Icke were really bringing you information that was top secret and your rulers, your owners, your masters didn't want you to know, they would be unalived, like the Stanley Mayers of this world and his water-powered car. He was unalived because he wouldn't sell his patents or wouldn't allow them to be patented. I can't remember the exact story, but I'm sure somebody will come out with it. He was invited to a meeting, a dinner, and he was poisoned at that dinner. Interestingly, it's just come into my head, a story about Jordan Maxwell, invited to a dinner with his then wife and these people, and suddenly this overriding fear come over him, and he ran out of the building. Run out of the building because he was told to get out the building in his head. Get out, get out. So who knows what would have happened if he'd have stayed there. He had his work stolen off him. This, that and the other. They tried loads of different ways to shut Jordan up and ridicule him and mock him. And like the rest of us, he wasn't perfect. Wasn't perfect at all. But I owe him much. The likes of him, Eustace Mullins, Ezra Pound, Edward G. Griffin, Anthony J. Hilder, and many others that all come before the David Ickes and the Emma Williams of our day. All come before them. And unless you come up with something and discover something that nobody else has ever come up with, like my meme, simple as it was, that I spoke about just now, then all you're ever doing, even then, I'm a plagiarist because it exists somewhere and I just connected with it. I didn't create it. It was already created, and my energy, frequency and vibration just linked with that. That's all we can ever do, people. And I do more and more of that because I do the shadow work. I conquer my demons. It's a continuing process. It's a continuing process. We place too much emphasis in those outside of us, and I'm always banging on about this. Here, we place too much emphasis, make too many false gods, false idols, this, that, and the other. John 10:34, I think it is, in the Bible or the Babel. I tell thee, ye are all gods. And I'm always telling her, it's all right reaching outside of yourself, because I've done it, and I'm grateful for those that have empowered, enlightened, and enabled me on this journey. Whether it be Chris Quenker, the first medium I ever see, Bert Inglis, who I met and only knew for 3 years till his passing in 1989, Rita Taylor, Ray Williams, and then in the internet world, people like Larkin Rose, Max Eigen, Mark Passio. If you've never seen his presentation from Philadelphia Natural Law Seminar in 2014, then you should go and watch it. 8 hours and 56 minutes long. Go and watch that. If you're watching people like Empiracy and loads of other people like that, go and watch those that come before them. Go and watch those that come before them. The further back you go, the more you realise, we've realised the real lies, that people have been talking about all this shit for years. For years. And other people have just regurgitated it. We all regurgitate it. That's all we can ever do. But Shelley, known her since 1989, she used to run a health food shop in the Charlton Centre in Dover. And when I first met Bert, we used to meet down there at least once a week, generally on a Saturday, because the butcher would do a giveaway on a Saturday, well, reduced the meat, clear all the fridges out so he could stock fresh Monday. And we used to sit there, have a cup of tea, and chat, discuss, philosophise, this, that, and the other. Learned so much from that man, Bert Inglis. Learned so much from him. And Shelley, we sat in the middle of this atrium and all shops all around it. The butcher, the calf, Shelley, other shops there, and Shelley and Roger. And that's how I first met her. And I got talking to Roger a lot first, because Shelley was often in the back doing Reiki or reflexology on someone. And Roger would man the shop, as it were. But I got to know them both, and, you know, I remember I hadn't seen them for years and years and years. And wasn't that too long ago, 8 or 9 years, I think, I ran into him in Morrison's in Folkestone. And they invited me for a cuppa. So we sat down in the cafe Morrison's, had this cup of tea, and whatever. And she was telling me that she's got tickets to go and see David Icke at Margate. I can't remember how long ago it was, but it was the time when he was supposedly getting banned from venues. So he booked them in a different way, and then never told the ticket holders where it was until a day or so before the thing, you know, so it couldn't get kicked out. And I remember, well onto this journey of awakening to the self, truth in this, that, you know, and I'd been blown away by so much stuff. And I'd learnt, remembering the book that she first lent me in 92, I'd learnt that David had plagiarised an awful lot of work from other people. And he brought work that was published wherever and put his own understanding and awareness on it. And this is the same as what Empiracy Emma Williams is doing today. She ain't bringing nothing new to the table at all. If you've listened to people like Jim Mars, John Anthony West, as well as the others I mentioned earlier, and so many other people, Graham Hancock's, Michael Tellinger's, this, that and the other, you know, and Greg Braden and people like that, you'll soon, if you listen to their stuff that come before Emma, for instance, you'll find that a lot of stuff they were talking about before. Loads of people were talking about it before. I've just mentioned a few names. That's all we can ever do. Apart from bring our own particular awareness to it, to the knowledge that's already there, our own interpretation and understanding about it. And that's fundamentally what I do here. I'm honest enough to tell you that. I'm honest enough to tell you if I've got this from somebody else. When I remember, I am 64. But I never set out with the intention of deceiving you or, taking credit for something that isn't mine. I don't do that. Because I do this from a point of integrity. And not everybody's the same. I don't care if it's truthers, mediums, psychics, politicians, sports stars, this, that and the other. Are all after a piece of you. I'm not. I want you to be the peace. P-E-A-C-E and P-I-E-C-E. I want you to be the peace. That's why I do what I do here. I'm not asking you for money. I don't want your fucking money. I don't want your energy, frequency and vibration. I want you to have it all and to reclaim it all, to bring it back to you, the true you, not the person, the man, woman, listen to this, not the spirit of that person, that man, woman, but the true you, the soul that gives life to both the spirit of this incarnation and the physical person, the mind, the ego of this incarnation. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking to. Everything I do is centred around that. But Shelley, I said to her, if you study him and then study these people, sat in that Cafe Morrison's, I mentioned a few names, Jordan Maxwell, Mark Passio, Larkin Rose, G. Edward Griffin, Ezra Pound, Eustace Mullins, this, that, and the other. I said, you go and study them. Most of them all come before David Icke, and you'll see how they were talking about the things he brings to you in his books. And his halls, when he speaks in a hall. All we can ever do is bring a new awareness to what's already there. Sometimes we bring something that nobody else has brought, but we're still plagiarising all that was, is and ever will be. We've just connected with it. Some of us have got the integrity to acknowledge that. But since then, and especially in the last 3 or 4 years since her husband Roger passed, I've seen how Shelley's journey, her own personal journey, has changed and grown and expanded, this, that, and the other. Because she's looking outside of herself in different directions. But most importantly, like me, she's looking within herself. And my old mate Bert used to say, if you just touch one, life is worth living. And funny enough, I've just listened to Pat Cash earlier on today, tennis player, talking to Gareth Ike about what happened to him when he started speaking about things. And in that, he said about Novak Djokovic, how he acted. And you remember a few years back when he was told, a couple of years back, he wasn't allowed into Australia, this, that, and the other, because he hadn't had the jabs and this, that, and the other. Brilliant stuff. Go and have a listen to Pat Cash talking to Gareth Ike. Brilliant stuff. Pat tells how he lost so many contracts. There's a man of integrity. That's integrity. When you're willing to do the right thing for the right reasons, and damn the consequences to you personally. When you're walking the red road with a good heart. People like Pat Cash, who had so much and willing to sacrifice that for the truth. That's integrity. That's walking the good red road. That's walking in accordance with universal law, natural law, common law. Doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do, and damn the fucking consequences. And when I listen to stuff like that, they are the sort of people, they are the souls that I respect because of what they do. I've got fuck all to lose apart from the body I stand in. That's the only thing I own. Everything else isn't mine. It belongs to the earth, as I do. But I have control over this avatar, this body. And I have control over who I allow to draw my energy, frequency and vibration. Who I give it to. I have an awareness. And so should you. So should you. All you people that are saying that, whoever it is, and again, I'm not attacking you, Emma Williams, or you, David Icke, but you put these people on, and on pedestals, you make them your gods and whatever, and false idols. And when you're up there, the only place to come is down. I don't know if I told you this story from years ago, back in the 90s. Bloke called Peter Gray. He said to me one day in company how much he respected me and revered me. He said, "You're the most spiritual man I know." I said, "Those words have come back to bite you on the arse, Peter." He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Don't put me on a pedestal." I said, "Because when you're on a pedestal, the only way is down." No, you are," he said. And sure enough, I think it was 3 weeks, I'd done something or said something, and I cannot remember for the life of me what it was. But he took fucking umbrage with it. He didn't like it at all. I said to him in front of his then wife, I said, "Serves yourself right." He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Serves yourself right. Telling me that you think I'm the most spiritual person you've ever met, this, that and the other. I told you back then, come to bite you on the arse, and now you've learned a lesson. Don't put anybody on a pedestal, least of all me." And I give him his due. He see the lesson there. got it from me. Right? He see the lesson and he was humble enough to acknowledge it. I said, you know, and we had a meaningful philosophical discussion when he calmed down. But I'll never forget that. You know, and I've often said to you, you know, don't fucking focus on me when you're listening to this. Focus on what you're hearing. And if it resonates with you, not me, the personality, I'm not important. And neither is fucking Emma Williams or David Icke or anybody else you listen to. They're not fucking important. What's important is their energy, frequency, vibration, and whether what they're sharing resonates with you. Because if they're sharing the truth and it resonates with you, then that's what's important, not the fucking personality. You got to stop this, all you human beings. Because that's the only... Man doesn't do this. It's only human beings that does this. Spoke about this in recent uploads. Difference between human beings and man and spirit and soul. So many of you think you're all love and light because you're spiritual. You're no better off than in the physical with the mind and the ego, because you take that with you in the spirit when you leave here. You see those things for what they are when you become consciously aware of the self and the duality of the self, S-E-L-F, not S-O-U-T-H, the yin and the yang, the black and the white, and the masculine and the feminine. All the aspects of duality of the self. That's what my journey's been about, bringing a balance and equilibrium, understanding them and continuing to understand them, and then bringing a balance and equilibrium. And because I walk my talk, I'm able to sit here and speak to you in the way that I do, to empower, enlighten and enable you, because I've done it and I continue to do it. I'll listen to anybody outside of me that I think can help to empower, enlighten and enable me. But I won't put them on a fucking pedestal. I might respect them, like the Max Eigans of this world, I respect. And if you haven't been listening to him lately, you've got to listen to him, because he's more and more, he's getting back into that modality of how he was when I first started listening to him all those years ago. Yeah, he bangs on about Palestine, for instance, and quite rightly so. Quite rightly so. Somebody's got to. And what's going on in the world. But you won't change anything outside of you until you change you. You got to change you first. Otherwise, it's same shit, different day. And I can empathise with the Palestinian people. I can empathise with all of the races of man that are human beings. The black, the white, the yellow, the red. Can empathise with all of them. But I won't allow any one of those races, the people within it, to harvest my emotional energy. I'm in control of that in a way that, I hadn't been for most of my life, because I've walked the talk and dealt with my demons, my shadows, this, that and the other. And now I have a degree of control over that. So I'll emphasise and care for anybody. And incidentally, that Natural Law seminar from Mark Passio in 2014, where he spoke for 8 hours, 56 minutes and a few seconds. All that talk for nearly 9 hours, he brought down to that one word: care. Absolutely brilliant presentation. Absolutely brilliant. But people, stop making new gods. We don't need new gods. We can all be heroes just for one day. If you search for the hero inside of yourself. Stop searching for the hero outside of yourself, because you'll never find it. You'll never find it. Be it God, a truther, a medium, a psychic, a politician, a sports star, a film star, this, that and that, you'll never find it. Because everyone outside of you that you put on a pedestal, the only way for them is down. The only way is down. What are you doing about you? We can talk till the cows come home about all the people outside of you, outside of me, that have helped us, this, that and the other, and are bringing us truth, which we resonate with at our point of awareness. But that'll change. What you see as truth today, what you accept as truth today, you might not tomorrow. I know what I accepted as truth 41 years ago, I no longer accept as truth. The main thing was 41 years ago, I thought spirit could provide me with all the answers to all of life's questions. That got blown out of the water. Absolutely blown out of the water when I started to awaken to the conscious self 20 years ago or so. And that's why I talk the way I do about spirit. Test the spirits to see if they are of God, good. You see the flesh, I see the spirit. And, you know, people that are lauding Emma, for instance, and complimenting her, if she's a real person, you know, perhaps she deserves those compliments because she always looks well turned out, this, that and the other. But then that's all makeup. How many of you have ever seen her without makeup? And with, you know, bed hair, you know, just got up in the morning and opened the front door to you with no makeup. None of you know what she looks like if you've never met her. And none of you know what she feels like if you've never met her. And it's the same with anybody that you may listen to on the internet. I just got a response from the Petite Renovator. I watch a lot of reels to try and cut off from everything. And one of them is a Petite Renovator, girl from the eastern side of England, woman rather, that's doing a house up, an old cottage, and she's making a good job of it. And she's got some brilliant ideas, this, that, the other. And then she done a reel the other day saying, showing how she had to get all dressed up, this, that and the other, to go to Royal Ascot. Because of what she does as a day job. And I just wrote in the comments, because she started off sitting in her overalls on her grass in her garden, you know, with a baseball cap on. She told you what she was going to do. She takes you through the process, films it all, and then at the end she shows you herself at Royal Ascot, looking really, really nice. And I just put the comment in, I'm sorry, but it has to be said, you scrub up as well as your house does. And she just put a love emoji on there and just said, thank you very much. But without her makeup, that particular girl, going about her business, doing her house up, this, that and the other, she looks pretty good, you know, but what she's doing is pretty good. taking you on this journey of reclaiming the beauty of her home, this, that, and the other, and putting her own take on it, this, that, and the other. And it's a philosophical thought. People, if we claim the beauty of our own being and put our own stamp on it, we can transcend the physical self, the spiritual self, the ego, and the mind. That's something that she's doing in her house as I watch her. That's something we should all be doing for ourselves. Stop, people. Stop listening to people and then pawning over them and saying how beautiful they are. They might look fucking beautiful, but their spirit might be like that in front of you. It's the message that they bring. And whatever message anybody brings to you, me included, was always there anyway. We just didn't pay attention to it. Everything that was, is, and ever will be, was always there. We can only become aware of it. And when we do, some people like to profit off that by writing books, or selling out halls, or giving you a reading, or this, that, and the other, when you can do all and any of that stuff yourself. But to do any of that, to achieve any of that, you've got to stop being like Terry and thinking what you're told. And you've got to think for yourself. There's a thought. If this message resonates, share the message. Don't share me. Share the message. Whether you're outside the UK or and listening on my 2BitChute channels, Rumble, Brighteon, Odyssey, or YouTube. Share the message. And think about the message you've got here today. I'm not judging you. I'm not judging David Icke. I'm not judging Emma Williams. I'm seeking to empower, enlighten, and enable you to your own divinity and stop reaching outside of yourself for new gods, new idols, this, that, and the other. You're the only God you need to worry about. Not the one the Bible told you created this. That God in the Bible, all they created was human beings. And it's interesting. When we talk about our ancestors, it's Neanderthal man, or it's Denisovan man. But we're classed as human beings. I told you in a recent upload, in the Bible, it said, let man have dominion over the fowl of the air, the beasts of the land, the fish of the sea, etc., etc., etc. You ain't even got dominion over yourself. Because you're not a man, you're a human being. You identify as a human being. That's why you're controlled, because you identify as a human being, and not man, and not woman. Think about it. Think about it. Let your eye be single. Know thyself. As I do, you can do also and far greater things. Knowing the truth will set you free. But you've got to know you before you've any hope of knowing the truth. Palamia, thank you. In Lakesh, in you I see another me. Mitakoi oyasin. We are all related. We are all relatives. And I tell you, again and again and again, we're all connected. And you can't fucking escape that. So you just as well try to fucking understand it, comprehend it, and be aware of it.